standing by with Cloud9's victorious mid laner.
Hey guys, I'm Zale. I'm here with Jensen, just coming off that 2-0 victory. Things looking very good for you guys, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the playoff fixture. So right now, you guys are sitting, in third place. You got your 10th win. Next week, you have Liquid. It could decide a lot of things. Are you guys feeling confident going into that?
Yeah, I would say we're feeling confident. I think we're making big improvements in areas we weren't really sure what was wrong with. So hopefully, we'll just do well in playoffs, and yeah.
Awesome. So dialing back a little bit, P1 today, obviously huge upset yesterday over TSM. Watching that, people were kind of joking around a little bit on Twitter and stuff, but were you guys more worried about them because of that? Was it something that you kind of thought about, maybe even worrying about the Rengar a little bit, or were you just thinking, hey, this is a fluke, just play them kind of like normal?
Well, I think P1 played really well yesterday, but I think TSM weren't playing their best games. But it's definitely something that we thought about because they beat TSM and they played pretty well. So it was definitely something we were thinking about, but we weren't really too worried as long as we played our game. And we're not really too worried about Rengar since versus TSM, he kind of snowballed early on. And I think as long as you don't let Rengar get out of control and you pick good champions versus him, you'll be fine versus him.
For sure. So coming off a fantastic Zillion game today, you played Zillion into Malzahar yesterday as well, I do believe. Is this something that you feel is just like, hey, okay, I can get through lane and succeed elsewhere? Or do you feel it's a particularly strong pick for lane against Malzahar? Because obviously something that's been very popular lately.
Well, the thing about Zillion versus Malzahar is the lane isn't super fantastic, but like around level 7, you can just clear the wave pretty easy. And Zillion as a champion, you build Rod of Ages, so you're relatively tanky. So even if Malzahar ults you and you get ganked, you can survive it, whereas other champions, they'll just die because they don't build Rod of Ages. So it just counters Malzahar's kit pretty well, and it's just a pick I thought about versus Malzahar.
Awesome. So, is there anyone that you would really be looking forward to as far as playing in the playoffs first round? If you get your dream matchup, who are you going up against first week playoffs?
I don't know if I have any dream matchups or anything. I think I just want to get out of first round of playoffs. That's all this time. There's not really any specific matchups I'm too worried about or anything.
Well, good luck with that. Hopefully you guys will make it to Toronto then, and that's going to be it for us. We'll send it back to the guys at the desk.
Told that we're welcoming the members from our NALCS 1 stream, Cloud9 taking the victory over Phoenix 1 in 2 games as well. So very dominant series across the board today. We just finished actually wrapping up Fox versus CLG, in which CLG took the series 2-0. Fox is now our guaranteed 10th place. CLG have locked themselves into the playoffs. Did you want to close anything out on that series?
You were wondering what you would do for
Well,
Fox.
I was going to say with Fox, I mean, it's specifically when we consider the likes of TLA and that team, they're the first matchup. What specifically does Fox need to shore up in order to take on this challenger squad?
I mean, this is a tsunami that they got to bring a whole lot of things to this table to actually be able to keep up. But I just think that their problem lies in wave management. They've just resulted to this crutch of wave clear for days and wait for the other team to kind of make the mistake. When you have just so much wave clear, it's a lot easier to dictate the pace of the game, but they don't actually know how to manage the waves. The top laner and bottom lane just aren't synced together, where in reality, there's a lot of synergy between these two roles in terms of managing the waves and lane assignment, and it's just not there at all. Mid lane just has to stay middle the entire time, and if they don't fix this problem, a team like TLA is going to have no problem putting Piglet in the carry position and snowball real hard.
Exactly.
And this is something that's symptomatic, and this isn't a blame game here in this scenario, but this is symptomatic of Froggen's team's playstyle over the last 2 years. Same happened on Elements, the same happened on teams before it, is that if the other individual components as well can't step up to the same level, Froggen's laning is still as good as it ever was. He's always putting up the stats. The problem is he's soaking a lot of resources on his own, and if the rest of the team haven't caught up to the basics as everybody else in the league, wave management, lane swaps, all of these things, then you can't do enough as an individual to carry yourself through.
All right, so plenty of work for the EchoFox squad to do while looking towards that summer promotion tournament, or spring promotion tournament, rather. Moving to the next split, CLG going to be happy to have made it into playoffs. They still got a couple more games to play in the regular season. I want to now transition over to Cloud9 versus Phoenix 1. Cloud9 picked up the second game here to close out the series 2-0, as we can see in 28 minutes, 30 seconds. So another pretty quick game for them. What's important to note as well, though, this victory does put a little bit of separation between them and the next teams on the ladder. So sitting comfortably in that third place spot right now, this is a very nice victory for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And P1 kind of a little distraught with getting the picks that they wanted. The composition's a little bit different from what they have. We've criticized him for just being kind of like a press R and go. Olaf, not that kind of champion.
Right.
You know, a little bit too much on that front. And right off the bat, they kind of make a little bit of an uncharacteristic move that we'll get to in the meantime.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I want to let you jump in first, Stress.
Yeah, and specifically about champion side, because coming into it, we were like, okay, well, the Braum's not going to be there, the Malzahar shouldn't be there either.
That was our expectation.
Yeah, C9 bans Sivir, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe they just don't want P1 to get a lead and then just hit R and go for it, like you're talking about, Crumbs. But very surprising. I like the Malzahar priority. I like the Braum priority in the second rotation. The Olaf is the curious one to us. Tristana Mash plays it. We've seen it before.
Yeah, I don't love it, but he plays it. So.
I just don't see what the Olaf on its own actually offers here. Normally you'd see it with the Sivir, the Karma gets it into the fight.
Yeah.
Hecarim in that situation still isn't a great pick, but has the engage. We were talking a little bit about other picks like the Nidalee if you want to dominate the early game.
Right.
I just don't feel like Olaf had enough here.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. They kind of picked themselves into a weird position because they themselves were the ones that pinched the jungle pool by last banning Gragas and then not taking the Rek'Sai, allowing Meteos to grab it. So, in a sense, didn't do themselves much favors in champs. Like, now I want to dive into the game, Crumbs. 4 minutes into the game. Do you want to set it up?
Yeah,
or
I'll
roll
set it up. So this is going to be right after the lane swap where Olaf is going to finish in the top side, and they have two options. You can either continue jungling to the bottom side or look to make a play in the top side. They're going to go to make a play because they see the dual lane outside. They feel comfortable taking the 2v2. The reason why you don't make a play with your top laner is just because of what's about to happen. You're going to have the double TP advantage from Cloud9, and they're going to be able to just immediately TP as soon as they commit, and they're going to just get surprised. Another reason why you don't go for this kind of play is because the dual lane is going to have summoner advantage, and just because of that play, while it might look good at first, okay, you got first blood, you blow so many summoners, and there's just no gain from P1 that's actually worth it because these champions want to be able to set the tempo in the swap, and it's just too much loss from this situation. So while it is a rather aggressive play that you would want to look for if you have a TP into the mid laner, that would be the only instance where you're going to go for this. But this is just the reason why you see the top lane is just back off, catch the wave as much as they can possible, TP to the bottom side and help with the push, as opposed to just trying to go head on into the push and obviously get killed like that.
Again, so that's still some of the issues that we see with these younger, greener squads is the fact that they recognize that, hey, there is the possibility of a play here, but not necessarily taking into account the fact that we don't have a TP because I'm going to my own TP lane.
On the bright side, this is kind of like, if you were to rate macro plays, this would be like in the middle to higher tier of what a macro play is like, right? The things that you have to consider, as opposed to the sheer basics that bottomer teams like Fox is facing, which is just like the regular lane assignment and actual wave management. So it does show more experience with macro play from P1. That's really nice to see out of a team that that started 09.
Just not quite TSM level, right?
Exactly.
We're just not quite to the top tier yet. Now I want to push this ahead to 20 minutes into the game. Sneaky's going to pick up another pentakill on the season here. He's been a monster when it comes to cleaning up fights on the gym.
Yeah, chalk it up because this fight, again, instantly at the start of this, Jensen gets engaged upon. He has his ultimate here, and Sneaky's got so much room for the entirety of this fight, and things just keep playing into his way. First of all, Zig gets pulled towards him for the first kill. Nice setup for this, and Mash is going to end up jumping in and getting caught by so much damage that's going to come out from the Zilean and from the rest of the team that it's an easy pickup, and he isn't able to snowball the jumps continuously. You can see exhausted as well. Out comes the fourth kill from it, and from there, he can chase Pyrion down super easy.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong, Crumbs. This was a fight you believe that Phoenix 1 should have been able to win.
So Phoenix 1 should have won that fight because while Zilean into Malzahar does sound like a good idea, obviously you can resurrect whoever gets Malzahar ulted. The problem was that they did not chain the CC properly. When you get the Malzahar ultimate and there's a Braum passive onto the Zilean, the biggest priority is going to be CC lock the Zilean so he does not get the Chrono Shift off. They do not blow all their auto attacks on them. They kind of try to weave in the spells. And when you're with a Braum, you want to just attack first, spells later. It is so important to get that stun off. And because of that, the fight gets delayed. Zilean's able to just get Lanterned away and is being able to provide so much to the front line eventually with the bomb and zoning as well that it just goes chaotic for P1. So it was a really good attempt from them, but ultimately backfired.
The execution just not quite there. Now that Zillion into Malzahar, it happened to work out in this game, and Jensen's going to pick up player of the game, 8-0-11 on the Zillion. Of course, he picked up a quadra kill right after that fight. We're not going to see that, but Jensen picks up the quadra right after Sneaky with the penta, 19 KDA from that Zillion deathless game. Solid play.
Yeah, pretty
Timeless
rare.
performance.
Timeless performance, if you will.
Pretty rare you have a pentakill and it's not player of the game. I mean,
That's true. That's
obviously-
also true.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, pentakill and it doesn't get it. But obviously, a lot can be said for how much Jensen did. You talked about turning around the early fights with that teleport and that kind of thing. So certainly a deserved one as well. But a lot of people contentious. We've talked about it before. Could have been both.
Now, if we do the kind of zoom out macro picture look, Cloud9, as I mentioned, is now securely or solidly, let's say, in that third position. Doesn't mean they're guaranteed to be locked there for playoffs, but they're putting that separation between them and the rest of the teams. I actually want to talk more about Phoenix One because they're sitting down there right near Energy, not looking good for them. They're not going to be able to make playoffs, but they're still jockeying for position when it comes to that promotion tournament. Are you seeing what you need to see out of this team to say that they are improving, at least at some rate, over the past few weeks and into the promotion tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that we're seeing what we need to be seeing out of this team to actually say that they are out of the top echelon of the bottom teams. But the one concern would be the actual drafting. It's gotten a little bit sloppy here today because we know exactly what's been working for them. They've been running it over and over and over, and that's what they're actually been able to get some of these wins that were unexpected. But a surprising kind of pick that's not catering to their strength that we always know, press R and engage, which is perfectly fine to have that kind of style, but just deviating from it at the odd situations, especially on a match that if you can actually win this game, you keep your playoff dreams alive, is a little questionable for me.
All right, well, that's going to conclude all of our series for the day. Now it's time to talk player of the game. This week, 4 players grabbed multiple honors. Huhi, Inori, Reignover, and Stixxay all grabbed themselves 2 mentions alongside a dozen other players who took 1 each.
Stixxay's got a makeover.
Oh, that's a good one. Not even the right team. Anyway, now for a look at the overall split leaderboard, though. Bjergsen still remains king of the hill. 10-time player of the game honors this split. Hot on his heels, though, are Double Up Phoenix, Kuni, and Pobelter, as well as Wild Turtle, who hold 8 awards and have their last shot to surpass Bjergsen next week.
Pretty cool looking at this comparatively to Europe and the positions. In Europe, it's like jungler, like everybody. And then I believe there's like Knight from Giants, because in their wins he's been instrumental. So seeing Bjergsen double it like 80 carry, like pretty cool to see different roles in there.
I like the acronym, the POG, the PogChamp now.
They're absolutely PogChamp. We should have thought about that before we titled it Player of the Game. Well, Week 8 is all wrapped up, so let's see how the teams stack up. TSM equalized today, drawing into a first-place tie with Immortals. Their match next week will decide first place. Cloud9 remains in third. CLG and Liquid have clinched playoffs and are tied in 4th. Envy is still fighting their way into playoffs, but have 6th place for now, and they're followed by Apex in 7th with Energy and Phoenix One tied for 8th. And EchoFox, of course, they round out the standings in that 10th place. Now a sneak peek at the League of Legends esports content coming your way in Week 9. It all begins on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific with Primetime League. Catch up on everything going on across all the pro leagues and get set for the last week of regular season LCS competition. Friday, the North American LCS comes back with a blockbuster first match. Immortals and TSM face off for control of first place and the top seed in the playoffs. Now, the European LCS is back on a special schedule this weekend starting at Saturday, 12 p.m. Central European time. Tune in to catch G2 taking on Vitality, followed by Origins match with Splice. That's a lot of information. Hopefully you internalize it all because there are some switch ups in the schedule. So check lolesports.com, double check it, triple check it in case you want to find the matches
or
that
just
you're
watch
most,
esports
or just
every
watch
day.
all
every day.
Just leave Twitch
Esports all
open
day.
on our channels and it'll just play when you'll just hear it in your headphones. Either way, I want to talk now about that match of the week showdown that's coming up on Friday between TSM and Immortals. Couldn't have asked for it to play out any better. Both teams coming in with the same exact record here. Gonna decide that top
P1.
seed. Yeah, thank you, P1. Gonna decide that top seed, that number 1 seed going into playoffs. What are you guys' feeling about how this matchup might go down?
I feel like as long as TSM can get their draft back to, well, what we saw from today, which now I'm a little bit more confident on, I still think that they should be stronger. I've seen a lot more consistency out of TSM week on week. than out of Immortals. So I still think Immortals are playing like a bit of a funky style, but maybe with the Fiora. They have
I'm
a
all about the
chance.
funk, though. No, I'm all about Immortals here. I actually think Immortals has a good shot at this one because they do play that wild style. They're all chaotic. The games are bloody. They're giving up a whole lot of kills, but shockingly, the games still end in 20 minutes. No matter what they keep doing, the games still go their way, which is really cool to see out of a team, be able to compose themselves objective-wise.
I mean, I really think that this matchup is going to come down to which game gets played. Is the TSM game played or is the Immortals game played, right? Can Immortals force TSM to play their chaotic, funky, combative League of Legends, or can TSM rein them in, for lack of a better word, right? And really say, no, we're going to play a rigid game of League of Legends in which we're
So they're the
going to,
vaults and Immortals is the funk.
Yes, very much. There you go. To continue your music analogy, sure, why not, Crumbs? All right, well, that's going to do it for our show. So on behalf of myself, Stress, and Crumbs, our casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
I'm going back to Europe. There were no ties.